Over the weekend, Donald Trump is having Prime Minister of Japan over, Shinzo Abe, and that's wonderful and good. They're going to play some golf. They're going to relax a little bit, rock and roll, okay? And they have a good relationship. Everybody's happy. Unfortunately, someone comes over to dinner a little uninvited, and that's Kim Jong-un. And North Korea, he didn't literally come over to Mar-a-Lago. That would have been amazing. He launched intermediate range ballistic missiles. And of course, these are tests. They didn't actually land on land against our allies. But that is very concerning, and we did not know it was coming. So it is basically testing Trump. Now, the number one place that North Korean missiles can hit is South Korea. And if we get into a conflict with them, millions of lives could be lost in South Korea. The number two place it could hit is Japan. And there's a Prime Minister of Japan right next to Donald Trump. So this is a very interesting moment. How will Trump react? First, let me just say that we have not invaded North Korea. Okay, that would not have been the right thing to do. We've got to be more careful than that, so we dodged the bullet on that one. You never know when Trump's thin skin is challenged what he'll do. Okay, now the Prime Minister is there. Now he wants to talk tough against North Korea. That's good. You should, and you should take real actions, but sanctions and other actions that don't provoke actual war. Now, let's show you what Kim Jong-un was doing over the weekend. So this is him looking at the missile test theoretically. Whether that's actually happening is another question. But the test did happen. Whether he's looking at it and actually seeing it as something else, of course. With anything involving Kim Jong-un, I always find it a little Kim Jong-un believable. But yes, it did happen in this case. Okay, so that is the North Koreans over the weekend. Now, in America, where Donald Trump was hosting the Prime Minister of Japan, a little bit more regal, I guess, as Trump would think, surroundings. He's at Mar-a-Lago, one of his properties down in Florida. Now, they're calling it the Winter White House, and they've already doubled the price of membership because the president's always there and he's mingling with the guests. Now, under normal circumstances, that's already problematic because it's a conflict of interest. But in the case of a national emergency, in fact, an international emergency, a little weird. Well, let's see how he handles it. So we've got pictures from Mar-a-Lago as well. So there is the president and the prime minister huddled over a table talking about, I'm not kidding, they're talking about the North Korea situation, top secret stuff, but they're in the middle of the dining area at Mar-a-Lago with all sorts of citizens that are not part of the government at all milling around, including waiters. And then it gets, look at the surroundings there. Those are not all government officials. There's waiters coming in. They keep serving dinner. They found out during the salad that North Korea had launched, and all these staffers come in, and the waiters keep coming and serving other parts of the meal. Okay, fine, they're on the patio, but there's other private citizens all around. They're talking about absolutely top secret stuff in the middle of everyone. And people are taking pictures and they're tweeting it out and they're putting it up on Facebook. And then apparently it got dark outside, so staffers started taking their cell phones and turning the flashlight in the cell phones so they could read the top secret intelligence briefings. Oh my God, what are you doing? Get inside. First of all, there's lights inside. Second of all, that stuff is top secret. Remember, they chanted lock her up because she had a private email server. They said that was a problem for national security. I said it was a problem for national security. What you just saw there is 1,000,000 times bigger for national security. They're like, oh, North Korean documents on missiles. Anybody want to see? Anybody want to see? Here, somebody put a flashlight on it. Are you kidding me? At least, I don't know if it's secured. There's no way that these knuckleheads have secured rooms at Mar-a-Lago. They should. The guy's the president of the United States. He will have moments like this. But at least get inside, for Christ's sake. It's going to get worse, okay? So there they are discussing and watching all this stuff. Then let me show you one more picture from that. And people start putting it up on Facebook. So this guy puts up a Facebook post saying, oh, I'm sitting here with at Mar-a-Lago, and the president seems to be doing something very important, and there's the prime minister, and the head of the National Security Council has come in. This is now public, and everybody's seeing it. Then let's go to the next picture. This is Trump looking a little bored by the whole thing. Like, I guess what are we going to do with it, huh? Yeah, it's on Instagram. I hope they got a good price for being at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, now, they apparently prepare a joint statement that Trump is supposed to read, but he doesn't. Now, there's a possibility that he didn't read it because they changed their mind at the last minute. There's another possibility is that Trump is a schmuck, and he's like, what am I going to do, read this whole thing, and it's not even on a prompter. I'll just say how much I like the Japanese. Well, you decide, here's the tape. First, you see the Japanese prime minister, and then Trump steps in. And this is the entirety of his statements on this incredibly important moment.
North Korea's most recent missile launch is absolutely intolerable. North Korea must fully comply with the relevant UN Security Council resolutions. And Trump and I myself completely share the view that we are going to promote further collaboration between the two nations. During the summit meeting that I had with President Trump, he assured me that the United States will always with Japan 100%.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. I just want everybody to understand and fully know that the United States of America stands behind Japan, its great ally, 100%. Thank you.
That was it. And of course, the schmucks left the paper out in front of him and the reporters saw it. It turns out it had a whole bunch of things he was supposed to say, like we're going to safeguard and protect against North Korea's provocative acts, specific language that you use to check North Korea. But since they're at Mar-a-Lago and not at the White House, there's no teleprompters. And he's like, we're going to win big. We're going to support him 100%. I'm done with it. Oh, yeah. Okay, it's going to get much worse. So that same guy who took the pictures of them hanging out, having dinner, talking about top secret stuff, took a picture of the guy that holds the nuclear football. I'm not kidding. And he put it on Facebook. Take a look at this. Now, luckily they blacked out the face. This is some random schmuck in the tie who it pays way too much money to be at Mar-a-Lago, but he's thinking, it's well worth it. I put my kerchief in, I go over there, and there's the nuclear football guy. My God, you're just telling the whole world, the guy who has the nuclear codes, all you got to do is pay to go to Mar-a-Lago, and you can just get him. He's just floating around, and we're putting him on Facebook. I mean, we talked about how dangerous it would be for Donald Trump to become president because he holds the nuclear codes. Look at how careless he is with it. And they criticized Hillary Clinton for being careless with national security information. At least she wasn't throwing her nuclear football around in Palm Beach. Jesus Christ, what have you done, America? They have got to get a hold of this security a lot better. So now, of course, the man-child known as Donald Trump, he can't pay attention and focus on this incredibly important missile situation in North Korea. So as all this stuff winds up, you know what he does? He goes into another room where there's a wedding going on because they're paid guests. You're the president! Screw your paid guests, right? No, he goes, and he comes out and he says, I saw them out on the lawn today. I said to the Prime Minister of Japan, I said, come on, Shinzo, let's go over and say hello. Come on, Shinzo, let's go over and say hello. That's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And then he says, because he has no tact and he has no filter, he adds at the end about the couple getting married. They've been members of this club for a long time. They've paid me a fortune. That's what he's worried about. If North Korea launched against South Korea or Japan, millions of people would die. That's as serious as a heart attack. And this goofball is wondering who paid him a fortune at Mar-a-Lago and whether they're getting their money's worth by getting to see national secrets happening right in front of them. Unbelievable. Jesus, America, what have you done? If you want to see this happen, donate $3, $20, $27, whatever you can afford. You know that if everybody that's watching this video donated right now, we could stop the fundraising because we'd have enough. So go to tytnetwork.com/go. We'll wait while you make the donation. Thank you for doing it. and for building a great new journalism team. And thanks for watching.